Hello my dear children, good morning to all. Welcome back to class 12 macroeconomic class. We were discussing chapter 3 determination of income and employment. In the previous class we have discussed about the second dimension of equilibrium level of income and employment, that is aggregate supply. So what do you mean by aggregate supply? Aggregate supply refers to the estimated money value of all the final goods and services produced by all the producers in an economy during a given period of time. So, aggregate supply is equal to national income of the economy. So, income is equal to consumption plus saving. So, aggregate supply or national income is equal to consumption expenditure plus saving expenditure. So, we have already discussed about consumption function and also saving function. Then what do you mean by saving? It is an excess of income over consumption expenditure. That is, income is equal to consumption expenditure plus saving expenditure. Then saving expenditure is equal to income minus consumption expenditure. So here saving is also function of income. So the functional relationship between saving and income is known as saving function. Okay. So saving function explains the relationship between national income and aggregate supply, and it can be derived from the consumption function. Okay. So in linear saving function, we can written as S is equal to minus C dash plus 1 minus B Y. Here S is the saving, minus C dash is the dissaving or negative saving. Then 1 minus B is equal to the marginal propensity to save, and Y is equal to given level of income. Okay. Today we will continue with the saving function and also aggregate supply. We saw saving function is derived from consumption function. Then we are going to study about derivation of saving curve from consumption curve. Okay, students? Students, you can see a diagram in the screen. So, students must carefully understand how the straight line saving curve. So, this is the straight line saving curve can be drawn using a straight line consumption curve and the 45-degree line. We can recall the straight line can be drawn by joining two coordinates on a plane. So, in this figure, we can see two panels, that is panel number A and panel number B, showing the derivation. In panel A, consumption is represented on the vertical axis. Okay, consumption is measured on y-axis. Vertical axis means y-axis. And in panel B, saving is represented on the vertical axis. Okay, here it's measured, y-axis measured savings. Then income is represented on the horizontal axis of both panels. Okay, income is measured on x-axis in both diagram or both panel. Then 45 line in panel A. 45-degree line in panel A represents all the points where consumption and income are equal. So this 45-degree line shows what? At all the points on these lines are consumption is equal to income. Then in panel A, consumption curve starts from y-axis and at point C. Okay. So consumption curve starts from point C. Why? Because due to autonomous consumption and intersect 45-degree line at point E. Okay? That is known as break-even point, BEP. That means the intersection of consumption curve and the 45-degree line is known as break-even point. Okay? So here consumption curve intersect 45-degree curve on the point E. So E is the break-even point, which means consumption is equal to income. Okay, in this point consumption is equal to income. That means saving is equal to 0. Okay, saving is equal to 0. And at this point the value of average propensity to consume will be 1. Okay, because it is union consumption function. Here at this point is known as break-even point. At this point consumption is equal to income. So average propensity to consume will be 1 here. Okay. Then at any level of income to the left of E. So left part of E. At any level of income to the left of E, Z is greater than Y. Okay, this is the income line. This is the consumption line. So the left part of E, at any point to the left of E, that is this shaded area. This shaded area leading to negative saving or consumption is greater than Y. Okay, that means consumption is greater than income. Then it leading to which one? That is dissaving. Okay, this portion is dissaving. Then whereas at any point to the right of E, this portion, here we have C is consumption is less than income. Okay, that leading to the positive value of saving. Okay, here is the positive value of saving because consumption is less than income. Then in panel B, at origin, that means 0 level of income, saving are at S1. That means negative OS1. So this is the negative saving or dissaving start from, or saving curve start from negative S1. This is the negative portion, so it is negative savings. Then this is the starting point of saving curve. Then at point E1, this is the E1 point, savings are 0 as C is equal to, consumption is equal to income. That is corresponding to the panel A. So if C is equal to Y, corresponding to panel B, S is equal to 0. That is at point E1, S is equal to 0. Okay. Then we may derive straight line saving function by joining S1, here S1 and E1 and extending the curve further. Okay, students must observe that on the left of E1, we have negative savings. Okay, it's corresponding to panel A. Here is the savings or negative saving. So here at the point left of the point E1, there is this savings, while on the right of E1, that is this portion, shows what? Positive saving. So this saving curve is derived from consumption curve. So this is the consumption curve. So the saving curve is derived from consumption curve. Okay. So let us understand the concept with an illustration, numerical illustrations. Suppose in an economy, the value of autonomous consumption is, that means C dash is equal to rupees 40 crore, and marginal, B means the marginal propensity to consume is equal to 0.6. Then the saving at different hypothetical level of income says, that means at the different level of income, that means if income is 0, so how can we derive the saving function? So use the equation S is equal to minus C dash plus 1 minus B y. So C dash is equal to 40. So minus C dash is equal to minus 40 plus marginal propensity to save. So if B is equal to 0.6, so marginal propensity to save is equal to 1 minus B, that is 0.4. Then our income is 0. So 40 plus 0 is equal to minus 40 crore. So saving at the level of 0 income, the saving is equal to minus 40. Then if income is equal to 100 crore, then what about the saving? So saving is equal to minus C dash plus 1 minus B y. So substitute all these things, that is S is equal to C dash is 40, so minus C dash is equal to minus 40 plus 1 minus B, that is equal to 0.4. Then income is 100, so 40 plus 40, that is 0. So here minus 40 plus 40 is equal to 0. Okay, then if y is equal to 200, so minus 40 plus 0.4 into 200, that means minus 40 plus 80, that is equal to 40 crore. So saving is 40 crore at 200 level of income. Okay. So here MPS is equal to 1 minus B, that is equal to 0.4, is the slope of consumption function. Then in the same way, we can calculate other values of consumption and saving, that is shown in the table. So if we have autonomous consumption and marginal propensity to consume, and at a different level of income, we can calculate consumption function. If we have income and consumption, we can calculate savings. Then if we have consumption, income and saving, we can calculate APC, APS, APC plus APS, then MPC, MPS, and also the relationship between MPC and MPS. So here at the different level of income, that is 0, 50, 100, 150, 200, that is the consumption is 40, 70, 100, 130. So if consumption is greater than income, there is a negative savings. Okay. First, in the case of first two income level, the consumption is greater than income. So the savings are negative. Then at the income level 100, the consumption is also 100. That means saving is equal to 0. Then APC is equal to 1. Then APS is equal to 0. Okay. How can you calculate APC? C by Y. So 100 by 100, that is equal to 1. Then what about APS? S by Y. So here S is 0. Divided by income is 100. 0 by 100, that is 0. Then what is the relationship between APC and APS? APC plus APS is equal to 1. That is 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. Okay. Then how can we calculate MPC? MPC is equal to delta C by delta Y. Then in the first case, the income is 0. That's why the APC, APS, MPC, MPS are nil. Then in the linear consumption function and linear saving function, MPC and MPS are constant throughout. Then it is the slope of consumption curve and saving curve. At the same time, MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. So here MPS is equal to 1 minus B, MPC is equal to B. Okay, these are the slope of consumption and saving function. So from this table and from this diagrams, we can understand what all things we can understand. There is dissavings. So negative savings or dissavings exist when consumption is greater than income. Then at break-even point, what do you mean by break-even point? The point at which income is equal to consumption. So at this point, the value of APC is equal to 1, then the value of APS is equal to 0. Then the value of MPS is constant, that representing the constant slope of straight line saving function. Then positive or upward slope of the saving curve shows a positive relationship between income and saving. That means as income increases, saving also goes up. Then APC can be negative but not the APC. APS can be negative but not the APC. A saving can enter the negative zone but not the consumption. On the other hand, APC can be greater than 1 as there may be a likely possibility of consumption being greater than income due to the existence of autonomous consumption. However, the sum of two, that is APC and APS, cannot be greater than or less than 1. It's always equal to 1. So APS plus APC is equal to 1. Then we know that the consumption does not increase in the same proportion as income increases. As income increases, aggregate consumption expenditure also increases, but along with consumption expenditure, savings also increase. That means the part of incremental or increased income is not consumed and hence saved. Then 45-degree line may be created where y is equal to c. Then we have assumed that the MPC remain unchanged. On this assumption, the consumption curve, that is C, would be a straight line. If MPC is not assumed to be constant, the consumption curve would be a curved line. So this was about the consumption and saving functions and consumption and saving schedule and curve. So if we get consumption expenditure and saving expenditure, we can calculate aggregate supply or income. Aggregate supply is otherwise known as national income of the economy. So national income is equal to consumption expenditure plus saving expenditure. So we can calculate consumption expenditure and saving expenditure at a different level of income. So if we get consumption expenditure and saving expenditure, we can calculate aggregate supply or income of the economy. So the aggregate supply can be formed by aggregating consumption expenditure and income or not income, saving expenditure at different level of income. So aggregate supply curve can be obtained by adding the consumption and saving schedule, that is C plus S schedule. So from the schedule we can draw aggregate supply curve. So we will get it will be a straight line originated from the point of origin. This will be form a 45-degree angle. So this is the aggregate supply curve. that was today's section. Today we have discussed about the derivation of saving curve from consumption curve, and also the aggregate supply schedule and curve. So this is very important concept. In Keynesian theory, aggregate demand and aggregate supply are very important for determining the income and employment level of an economy. So in the next class, we will study about the equilibrium level of aggregate demand and aggregate supply. So see you in the next class. Bye.